Here we are, we made it. Welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Herrera. It's episode 544. It's Monday, January 20th. What are you doing today? Where were you today? So I just got a shout out to the Seattle Kraken. What's up? Go Kraken. We're going to see that game today. It's a day game. I can't wait. Bringing the whole family. It's going to be a lot of fun. Go Kraken. Aside from that, this is actually my first game of the season. I haven't been to any home games, any away games, nothing. Just seen a few on TV. The playoffs are in full effect. I'm not going to make any predictions on who's going to win the Super Bowl because the Seahawks aren't in the Super Bowl. So, lost that bet. So, shout out to Kraken. What's up? Go Kraken. MXPX.com. MXPX.com, we have green hoodies, these MXPX green hoodie. I love this thing. The green just looks so good. It's got a hood. Yeah, there you go. Nothing on the back, but the front says it all, MXPX. We also have a couple of these t-shirts in the store, MXPX.com/shop. MXPX, not today. Today I'm easy. So, you know, my personality is I get hung up on things that don't matter a lot of times. I'll fixate on something that really doesn't matter in the big picture. And over the years, I've realized this, of course. And so I wrote a song called Not Today because when I can just take it easy and be easy on myself, then I can be easy on everyone. And everybody wins and we're all having a good time. So that's what Not Today is about. And now we have a shirt. So if you like to skateboard, or if you have kids, or whatever it is, if you have somebody that's a little too uptight about things, they need a shirt, and they need this Not Today shirt. It's red and yellow. Today I'm easy. I'm not talking about in bed. I'm talking about being easy going. All right. We also have this shirt. This is actually another one of my favorites. MXPX on the front, just kind of a simpler running punk with the logo. And on the back, it's got a comic book vibe with the burst, MXPX, the Poking at Ya Punk running. It just looks really good. And whenever I see people wearing the shirt, if I see people wearing a Not Today shirt, I always walk up to them and go, that's my shirt. That's the shirt I wanted. Love it. All right, so MXPX.com, we appreciate all of your support all throughout the years. Always. So I just want to make sure you guys know that. From the bottom of my heart, we appreciate you. Thank you. All right. I want to shout out to WALRUS Audio because I appreciate them. I got this new bass pedal, and Josh Montgomery, shout out to you. Thank you. He came to Dallas, the show in Dallas at House of Blues, and was hanging out with everybody. And he brought me this pedal, and I appreciate that. It's so thoughtful, so thoughtful. So let's open it up. Let's open it up. And yes, it is a blemished pedal, and that's okay because I don't need a perfect right out of the box pedal. As long as it works, I'm good. So send me all the blemishes. I don't mind. You open it up. It's got this cool cover. Then boom, this pedal has so many knobs. This is a kind of a SansAmp style pedal that they're putting out here. It's got you can plug it in if you need power, and then the 1/4-inch cables go in and out. And so this is actually in and this is the out. There's arrows. So what we have here is we got all these EQ knobs at the top. Low, low, mid, high, drive, and sustain. Drive and sustain. Now, drive, that's like distortion, gain, and sustain, that just makes it, if you hit a note, bah, the sustain is how long the note goes. Bah. So if you have the sustain all the way down, it might go bah, and stop. But if you have the sustain all the way up, it's going to be like bah, like when are we done here? All right, so that's sustain. On the bottom row, there's volume, low mid frequency, high mid frequency, level. That's overall sound of overall volume, the level, and voice. I don't know what these do. I think it probably turns on a drive, a mid, a clean, something like that. And then there's blend. You can blend all of these sounds together. And there's a bypass switch and a drive switch. You can have your normal tone on bass, like a clean tone. Like most of the time with MXPX, I have a pretty clean tone. And then a few songs, I'll add more grit to it, more gain, drive, whatever you want to call it. There's, there are different terms for distortion, and they don't all exactly mean the same thing, because a fuzz is different than a gain, and a drive is different than a fuzz. So I'm not sure exactly what makes the difference. I know fuzzy is like a fuzzy feeling. It's not as deep. It's more of a surface fuzz. And I think drive is just like driving everything from the very center out, and it starts to break up. And the more it breaks up, that's distortion. So distortion, drive, kind of similar. All right, I can't wait to plug this thing in and give it a try. Thanks, Walrus. They've done quite a few things for us over the years, and we appreciate them. They're a great company. And I'm pretty sure they're from Oklahoma. What's up, Oklahoma? Oklahoma City. So this is the WALRUS BADWATER bass pedal. And I'm not sure if it's a bass pedal, like if it's advertised as a bass pedal, but either way, I'm gonna use it on my bass. I feel like that's the way to go with that. So thanks for that gift, and I appreciate that. Let's get to some voicemails. We're gonna do voicemails and see what you guys had to say. We got some new ones that came in over the week, and we're gonna start with Frank from Florida.
Mike, it's Frank from Florida yet again. Happy New Year to you and your family. Wishing you guys the best 2025 has to offer. I swear, I do cardio at the gym, and all I'm thinking about is the next set of questions I'm going to ask you, but I only have two today. The first one is a bass player question. I am not a bass player. I'm a guitar player. However, growing up, and I know you did too with the Beatles, Paul McCartney, who's one of my favorite songwriters, and I just get amazed that sometimes when I hear these songs and his bass playing abilities. And I was wondering maybe if you could talk a little bit about that, and what is it that he's doing to really just find these melodies in there? Is he starting with the root notes, or is he starting with other notes in the scale? To me, just his bass playing is unbelievable, and I'm curious as to how that's also influenced you, and what do you think that he's doing exactly? Because to me, it's unbelievable. And then second question.
Okay, I'm going to pause you there because this is, let's get into this. All right, Paul McCartney, amazing musician, amazing songwriter, legend, obviously. I grew up listening to the Beatles. Before I knew what punk rock was, I was listening to the Beatles. I was listening to Sting and the Police. And I didn't listen to the Beatles with a bass in mind. I wasn't thinking he's playing bass guitar. I was just thinking these songs are insane. These are so good. These are great songs. And when it came to bass playing, I was paying more attention when I was listening to the Police. The Police, Roxanne, doom doom, Roxanne, doom doom, doom doom, doom doom. Doom, doom. But he's singing and he's doing these offbeats. Like, that to me blew my mind, because it is not easy to sing and do something that's a counter beat to it. So a lot of times when I'm playing bass, I'm just do playing a root note. Like, heard that sound, a mile away, heard that sound, a mile away, whatever the notes are. I mean, I do know the notes, but adding fills, something I do a lot, and I'll get more to the Beatles in a little bit. Something I do a lot is I do fills in between my vocal lines. So I'll do a line and then I'll play a little. So a good example of this would be Secret Weapon. And you can't hear it as much on the recording, but if you listen to any recording that's live from a live show, that's where I kind of added some more flair to the bass line that I didn't think about when we were recording. Like when we're recording, I'm trying to think of the best bass line I can, but after you play it over and over and over, you come up with more ideas inevitably. And that's what happened with Secret Weapon. Is on the chorus, I'm like, you are your own secret. So I'm playing and singing over myself, but I'm overlapping parts of it, not continuously. So I'll be like, root note F, and then I'm singing, you are G, your own A, and then that's where I'm playing a fill, do 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 do, and so I go F, you are G, your own A, do 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 do, secret, do 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 do. So I'm saying secret, do do do, secret weapon. So I have to figure out, okay, I am singing when I'm doing the fill, but I'm starting the fill kind of in between a line, and then I'm singing over the fill. And yeah, it's not easy. Sometimes it's easy. It's easy, once you figure it out and practice it enough, it's easy. So these things didn't always come easy to me. When I started learning how to play bass, I would play, and if it was like an off beat like that, I'd be like, how do you do that? Do do Roxanne, do do. Do do. You don't have to put on the red light. Do do. Just like, I would keep that in mind, that okay, there are bass players out there that can play offbeat and sing on beat. Now, I'm not saying I'm not as good as Sting. I'm not as good as Paul McCartney, but I've been able to figure out how to play and sing and play some fairly hard bass lines. Not all the time. I mean, they're not constantly hard. I have plenty of very simple bass lines, and that's plenty okay. So taking it back to the Beatles, when I was listening to them, I wasn't really thinking about bass lines. I wasn't thinking about him as a bass player singing and playing. But once I started playing bass and actually doing it myself and realizing how hard it really is, wow, I gained so much more respect for Paul McCartney as a musician, as an artist, as a bass player, as a singer, as a songwriter, all of these things. Now, I don't know if I can answer your question about what he's doing exactly. Is he doing all root notes? Is he, every song is a little different. I think he was just putting it together the way he heard it in his head. And those guys had a lot of traditional influence, a lot of traditional musicianship, the 50s sound, the 1940s big band sound. They all had all that in a very, very close proximity to them. So they could take kind of the right way to do something, and they could experiment with these ideas and do it their way. I'm not gonna say it's the wrong way, because it ended up being pretty right. So I think in the same way they were experimenting with recordings, with doing demos and layering tracks on each other. They would have a 4-track, and then they would bounce they would bounce 4 tracks down to, or maybe they would bounce 3 tracks down to the 1, or 2 tracks down to the 2, and so on and so forth. Everything would just get bounced down to 2 tracks, a stereo track, and mixed. So you would have like drums, all the drums mixed down to 2 tracks, and then you would have the bass guitar, probably was just 1 track anyway, bass and guitars, those all be mixed down, and you'd have to do that in order to have 16, 20 tracks on a song. Whereas most people were just recording, well, we have 4 tracks, we're going to record 4 things, and that's all we can do, and so to record an orchestra, you would just take a microphone and put it in the general area of one section, and then on the other side you'd put the other microphone, and maybe have a center mic, and then you just mix that together, and you'd have this stereo spectrum of sound, this wall of sound. And if you had your microphones that were, they were picking up sound, like there's hypercardioid, cardioid, there's a pattern that has frequencies, and a microphone, sometimes like this microphone is a condenser mic, and so it's powered. You have to power it. It doesn't just, you can't just plug it in and plug it into an amp. It won't work. It needs phantom power. But a lot of dynamic microphones, microphones just in general, you don't have any power. There's no phantom power, no 48 volts. So you can just plug in a dynamic microphone like a Shure 57, an SM57 if you're in the studio like this. An SM7 if you're in the studio like this. An SM57 is more for like live instruments, studio instruments. And then the 58 is your traditional vocal mic. And of course there's, the microphones we use now are all more modern stuff. Just realizing what it takes to actually make recordings and how even just the diaphragm, of your microphone is going to change the sound and change how much it picks up, the spectrum of sound. So when you're recording just a few things and you want to pick it all up and mix it nicely, you generally want to have a wider spectrum of sound to let it all in. But if you have all these sounds, but you only want to capture the guitar, then you want a super tight cardioid pattern that only picks up whatever you're pointing the microphone straight to. So that's like a shotgun mic. A shotgun mic is what you see people holding up on movies, and they're holding it up above the actor, and sometimes the microphone dips down over somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, I see the microphone. Well, that's a shotgun mic, and those are meant to pick up sound just in the area where the mic is pointed at, right? And you can pick up sound from very far away with these shotgun mics, but not close up if you're on the side. So if you're on the side, it's not going to pick that up as much. It'll be very quiet. But if you're in front of the shotgun mic but far away, it'll still pick up that sound. So if you're pointing the mic across the street at something, it's going to pick up that sound and not what's right next to you. That's the idea. It doesn't always work out perfectly like that, but that's it. So I know I've totally gone off on a tangent. We're talking about bass playing. We're talking about the Beatles. But, I'd say the album that I spent most of my time listening to as a kid from the Beatles, I mean, there's plenty of other albums, but the album by the Beatles I listened to was I Saw Her Standing There, which was a greatest hits record. It wasn't an actual album. And actually, I think it was Please Please Me. That was an album. So it was those two. And so I thought I Saw Her Standing There was on that album. A bunch of hit songs were on that album. I listened to that over and over and over. Another really good record, Rubber Soul, although those songs didn't hit me as hard as Please Please Me. Please Please Me is kind of the OG. It's got some I'm not going to look it up, but it's got some really classic Beatles songs. Pretty sure My Michelle is on there, which I always kind of liked because, oh, my mom's name is Michelle. And so they're talking about my mom when I was a little kid. That's what I thought. So, all right, let's get to your next question. I hope that was adequate.
And then second question is, I know I want to ask you, what are your favorite Less Than Jake and Atari songs and albums? What about Rancid? I was listening to Life Won't Wait the other day. It's just such an eclectic, beautiful mix of songs. Obviously, Now Come the Wolves is a staple and a classic. I also hold in high regard to Rancid 2000. I think it's just a really blistering journey of hardcore songs. So just wanted to hear what your thoughts on Rancid albums. My only critique ever with Rancid albums is that there's not enough Lars in it. But anyway, hope all is well. Happy 2025. Be well. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. All right, cool. Rancid. What is my favorite Rancid album? Well, I first started listening to Rancid when their first album came out, self-titled, Hyena. I'm a hyena. Going for the lion's share. The lion's share ain't there. Like, that was so classic. And being, having been a fan of Op Ivy, never saw them live, but, I had the record and knew the record and loved the record. And Thomas Nesky and I went to Olympia, Washington, to the Backstage Theater, and we went to see Rancid. It was their first tour. And I don't know if it was their first tour, but it was their first time coming up to Washington as Rancid. And all the punkers knew who Rancid was. Pop Ivy was a thing and all that. We were so young. We were just it was, I mean, I want to say this was before Tom was even in MXPX and Andy was still in the band, but me and Tom would hang out and go to shows and do stuff. I don't know what year this was, probably 1993, somewhere in there. MXPX was just kind of getting started. But I didn't really, back then you didn't know who anybody looked like. So I'm standing there and watching the Mukilteo Fairies, which was the opening band. And they're a hardcore band, just hardcore punk, not hardcore like modern hardcore these days. And I'm standing there watching them, and then I look over, and they got done. And when they got done playing, I look over, and Tim from Rancid is standing right next to me, and he walks up on stage, and they start setting up. And I'm like, the guy from Rancid was standing right next to me this whole time, and I didn't even know it. That's happened so many times in life, but back then you didn't know what people looked like really. You heard it on a cassette tape that your buddy got from somebody or whatever. There was no pictures, no internet. There was word of mouth, and there was posters. So eventually you could find out what people looked like. But self-titled, always been my go-to. But then I really got into Let's Go, their second album. It's got a lot of great songs. Salvation. It's got what has it got? It's got so many songs that I, used to listen to all the time. Now I can't remember. Let's go. Yeah, it's just so punk rock, so insane. When Out Come the Wolves came out, I was already a longtime fan, and that record was amazing. The Nihilism, that's a song off, I want to say Let's Go. There's a song about being a vigilante. Somebody was he was talking about like Batman and like these like superhero vigilantes, but he was doing it kind of in a real world situation. I don't know. I always just thought that was a cool song. But Out Come the Wolves came out. Rancid became pretty big after that. Warped Tour. MXPX was on our way by then too. I think we had probably released Life in General by then. I don't remember. I don't know what the timelines are. But, after that, I was paying attention to what Rancid was doing, but I wasn't listening to the albums like I was listening, years before, because I was so busy trying to write my own music and trying to do my own thing. But I think that happens with a lot of people, and then you kind of come back to it after a while. So I've been a long-time Rancid fan. I'm still a fan. I love those guys. Great guys. I respect them a lot. Tim is a great songwriter, really cool dude, always cool to me whenever we see each other, will give me a hug. So nothing but respect for those brothers. They're the OGs. Maybe not the OGs, but for me, they're the OGs. And if you remember the Poking At Ya artwork pamphlet on the CD, you open it up, and I think it's me wearing a Rancid shirt. I'm wearing a Rancid shirt that I got from that show in Olympia. That's where I got it. It's a big 9mm gun on the front. And I just remember also went to see NoFX at King Cat Theater, probably 1994, somewhere in there. Same deal, got a t-shirt, and that t-shirt, that same show where I got a t-shirt is my shirt that Andy's wearing in those pictures on Poking At Ya. I was like, Andy, wear this shirt. Here you go. So he didn't have to wear the magnified plaid shirt. So yeah, that's my Rancid picks. They've got some good songs that they've released over the years. Every album has a couple really, really great songs, bangers. But in general, I feel like there's just too many songs to really wrap my head around finding good ones. But they definitely have it in them, and they do great, and they play great live. So go Rancid. Shout out Rancid. What's up? Let's get to the next voicemail. Let's go.
Hey, Mike. What's up? Matt Capps here. First off, just want to say I haven't caught since Find a Way Home came out, and I can't believe it's going on 2 years. What? That's crazy. But it's still a new record to me. Still love it. Love every song on it. It's awesome. But I wanted to ask you a couple of things about the At the Show record, the first live record. So first off, as far as I can tell, it's not really streaming anywhere. Maybe on Pandora, but I don't know. Is Pandora still the kind of like you create a channel and then it recommends other stuff similar to it? I don't know if it really counts as like a traditional streaming. Maybe it's changed, but it doesn't seem to be on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, YouTube Music. Anyway, just wondering if there's any reason for that or any reason you can tell us, and that would be cool. Second thing is sort of a two-parter. So I saw you guys on that tour, the Anchors Away tour.
Okay, two-parter. I'll pause it and I'll try not to mess it up. Matt, let me just easy answer to the question. I don't actually know why, but I do know that At the Show is owned by Universal, just like Ever Passing Moments owned by Universal, Before Everything and After, and Slowly Going the Way of the Buffalo. But caveat to that, they actually own our whole catalog, because Tooth and Nail sold the Tooth and Nail catalog to Universal Records quite a few years ago. Now, Tooth and Nail might have come back and rebought some of their assets back. They haven't bought everything. They haven't bought the MXPX part. They haven't bought all the old stuff. They only own certain things. And then, of course, the new stuff they put out, they own, I'm sure. And let me just say, I might be wrong on a few of the details on exactly what they own or whatever. Let's take it with a grain of salt. But Universal owns At the Show. And I don't think they realize they own it. I think At the Show fell through the cracks somewhere along the way, because MXPX we were independent by the time streaming was really kind of going on. And so because we were independent, we weren't pushing the labels like, let's go stream, da-da-da-da. We didn't have anybody out there going, all right, let's stream MXPX albums, make sure they're all up there. And so things fell through the cracks. The algorithm took hold, and we've been struggling with streaming ever since. It's really been a struggle. It's never goes exactly how you want it to. You're trying to get, I mean, sure, people listen to our band all the time, but what I mean is the overall, like, the system that's in place for streaming, once you're in that flow, you can really, really do well. Well, if you're not in that flow early, you're going to be, it's like perfect example would be like, okay, the difference between investing $100 a month starting when you're 9 years old versus starting to invest $100 a month in the stock market when you're 50 years old. Well, by the time you're 70, 75, 80, ready to retire, there's a big difference in assets. If you've been putting in $100 a month ever since you were 9 years old, you're going to have millions and millions of dollars. If you do it 50, you probably have a couple, 100,000 or something. I don't know. I'm not doing the math. But what I'm saying is there's a huge difference. So I don't know. At the Show, it got left behind, and it just can't ever catch up. And it doesn't mean that they can't put it on streaming now, but I just don't know why they don't. Like, it probably wouldn't benefit me personally, even if they did. But I don't mind I would love for them to put all our albums on streaming. It would be great. I don't know why it's not. I honestly feel like it fell through the cracks, and that's why. And it might have something to do with the fact that it's a live record, and live records don't make money for anybody. They're just not. They're not money makers. And the copyrights are probably weird in some ways. The fact that, it's a live record. It's something that we did kind of just to get out of the contract, to be honest. All of these things sort of come together. Also, another factor could be the fact that they licensed it to Kung Fu Records for the vinyl, and that vinyl sold out, when it came out, as far as I know. And there might be a few copies here and there on Discogs or whatever, but maybe contractually there was something confusing in there to where Universal thought, oh, well, we don't even own this record. Kung Fu does. Not realizing it was just a license for the vinyl only. Things like that happen all the time. People get confused. Like the other week, somebody called in asking about Not Today and why it's got other songwriting credits on it. When you look it up on Apple Music, it says like 3 or 4 other names. It doesn't even have my name as a songwriter, the Imagine Dragon guys. And it's like, that's baffling. That's not right. I wrote the song by myself in the studio here. So that's something we have to inquire into the distro company and ask them what happened and see if they can get it fixed. And they try to get it fixed. They submit a correction, and you gotta wait for, you know, however many business days for the correction, and nothing is easy. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's get to your next two-parter question. Here we go, Matt.
Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and two of the songs that you played that were kind of special was KKK Took My Baby Away, and as I recall, you played guitar and sang, Tom jumped on drums, and Yuri played bass. I can't seem to find any videos or any evidence that actually happened, but please, did I imagine it, or is that real? And if so, did you do it on that way on the actual recording? Did it make it onto the recording that way, or was it just like, let's do it this way this night? Second thing, the other song, Forgive and Forget, has that ever been recorded in a real, like, full studio production? If not, I know you said that the hardcore record probably won't happen, but clearly the people want it, so I think that's a good one for it. What do you think? Forgive and Forget, maybe a modern, like a remake of First Class Mail, easier said than done. Think about it. And third question is, I was hanging out with a certain 90s Ramones tribute wannabe band guitar player, probably around 99, somewhere in there, and he was telling me that he talked to Tom Wisniewski and was talking about how sort of unlive the record was. Like, maybe he said that the drums were kept, vocals or something. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about how live it actually was? Pretty sure you can hear some guitar overdubs, clearly some backups and stuff, all pretty normal stuff, but just curious, how live was it really? Does that reflect like the actual live recording, or were some stuff, some tracks redone there? Anyway, yep, I'm running out of time, so thanks, and hope to see you somewhere soon at the show. Bye.
Cool. All right, let me get to them. Let me run down your questions. KKK Took My Baby Away, me on guitar, Tom on bass. Wait, Tom on drums, Yuri on bass. Yeah, we only did that a few times, just for fun. I mean, why not for fun? It was not done like that on the recording. That was after the recording, or it wasn't. Honestly, I don't remember the details, but I know we've done it. We did it probably 3 or 4 times. Just randomly. I don't know. It wasn't something we did like that. Maybe we did it every night on that tour, and I just can't remember that. That's very possible. Very possible. But yeah, that was all just for fun. Forgive and Forget, that was never recorded in the studio, only on the live album. Now, we did that on purpose. We did that live. We're like, let's put a song out that's never been out. Let's just do that. Why not? And so we did Forgive and Forget because it's real short, it's hardcore, it's kind of like a Fist versus Tax style song, and it just made sense to do. Now, how live was at the show? Now, I'm trying to think back. It was a long time ago. So Bill Stevenson and Stephen Edgerton produced the album, and it was Bill that came out and recorded with us. And then Stefan mixed it. He mixed it and he edited and did a bunch of stuff. So maybe the question is for Stefan, but we did some overdubs, a few, in New York. We were on tour. So it was just like we were on the tour and we just went straight from the tour to New York to this little studio, and we did a few. There was a couple just really out of tune things that we needed to fix. and maybe a couple screw ups. I mean, there's screw ups on the actual live album you can hear. And we didn't redo any vocals, maybe some backup vocals. Honestly, I don't remember doing any vocals. We've never really done vocals. But I know a few of the lines were pitch corrected. Like if I was like really off, I'm sure those were pitch corrected. But back then it was a manual pitch correction. It wasn't an auto tune. It was literally, Stefan had to draw a little thing or whatever. You know, guitar over to, no drums were redone. So it was just, drums are perfect always. Yuri's perfect. Now, if we're gonna do anything, it's usually gonna be guitar or bass, and then maybe fix a lead vocal, because the lead vocals, you know, they're out front. But for the most part, like, we don't need, like, if you hear all of our newer live albums, those are live vocals. Those are the vocals. It is what it is. And things can get edited. So like, okay, let's take that thing out. Let's, I didn't like what I said there. Let's just cut out the in-between part of the song. So like if it's a live album, we're like playing Hello Chicago or whatever, like those things can get cut out or left in, depending on what you're going for, depending on what's said. So definitely things like that get edited or have gotten edited in the past. And it just makes for a, you know, when you're in the moment, it's totally entertaining and fun to hear people talk and say this or that off the cuff. But once you hear it over and over on a live recording over and again, you're kind of like, all right, I've heard that how many times? I just want to hear the song. So we try to keep that in mind when we're putting out a live album and try not to put too much banter, too much over talking. And if I over talk, I'll just try to cut it out if I can. So I hope that helps. Honestly, I don't remember doing any backups or anything like that, but bass and guitar, that sounds about right. Sounds most people, you know, a lot of bands will completely re-record everything, like from you know, pressing record to stopping. Like, all right, let's just redub everything. We don't do that. We only just fix little things and edit to make it smooth and just to make it a nice listening experience. And it's kind of worked because it is a great live album and people really seem to like it a lot. All right, great questions, very in depth. Let's get to the next one.
Hey Mike, I just got your Ever Passing Moment vinyl signed and it looks amazing in my setup and sounds great. I got the Splatter edition, which looks rad, sitting on my Gerard Lab 95B turntable. I just had it restored to its former glory. Rocking out with a Stanley receiver and 2 pairs of matching speakers. Question for you, since I just discovered this podcast, I was wondering if you have an episode where you discuss your production process with vinyl. It'd be interesting to know how an independent band does all that you guys are able to do. I'm so happy to have found this podcast after rediscovering MXPX and the CDs in my basement. Retro is quite the trend right now, and I'm all about it, dude. Again, my name is Lee. I'm from Ohio. And, again, I'm just so happy to have found this podcast and rediscovering you guys. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Dude, thanks for calling in, Lee. Dude, I love this question because it's something that that we don't talk about. Why would we? I mean, we're just kind of doing our thing. So as an independent band and putting out records on our own, there's vinyl, and vinyl is very expensive, very, very expensive. So we have to have, I don't know, let's say for an album, you know, if you want to print a bunch and get a bunch pressed, you got to have at least $20,000 to $50,000 just in your bank account, ready to go to pay for all this stuff. So what we do is let's say we have a record, a new record or a new song, whatever it is. You get it mastered for vinyl, and we have a guy, Levi actually is usually who we use. He'll actually make a plate. So there's these plates that you get made, and if you don't get your own made, that just get made at the factory, but they're never as good. So we always have them made because these are actually the masters for your music. It has the grooves in it, and your vinyl, when it goes into this print, that prints the music onto the vinyl. So we actually get these lathes, or whatever you call them, these plates. We get them made here in America by Levi at Black Belt Mastering, and he does the mastering in the way the vinyl will respond to the sound and the audio, because their frequencies and all this are a little different. And so you don't want to master the same way you would master something for an iPhone or for a digital release. You want to have a different vibe. So that's first and foremost, is you got to have have it mastered for vinyl. And you can get it mastered for vinyl digitally without making the plates, the analog plates. You can just have, which I've done in the past. Like with Tumbledown, Stefan used to master a lot of my stuff, Stefan Edgerton from The Descendants, and he would make me master vinyl masters as well, and they were separate. They're always a little quieter than your general digital master. So I don't know if it's like 4 to 6 dB quieter, something like that. And so you have your plates. You got to go make a deal with a manufacturer, whether you get in your order, and then you can get in your order without having all of the artwork and all of the music submitted. You can just kind of like get your place in line, because a few years ago, and I don't know how it is now, it's probably a little better, but a few years ago, it takes 6 months to a year just to print a bunch of vinyl. It'd be like, sorry, Taylor Swift has all of our print, all her stuff being printed, and sorry, but whatever. So nowadays, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit less crazy. The vinyl fad in general has kind of died down slightly. People aren't buying as much vinyl. Although we do appreciate when people buy vinyl from MXPX, because we got a lot of vinyl and people seem to love it. But you said you had the Splatter. That is literally hands down my favorite vinyl version of all the 3 classics that we did a few years ago. The Ever Passing Moment Splatter version is so good. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So once you kind of decide on the company you're going to use, you get your place in line. Artwork, oh my gosh. If I can't, I want to kill myself sometimes with this artwork thing, because I'm not even doing most of the work and I'm still frustrated with it. It doesn't matter how many times you think you've proofread something, new things will appear, new problems. So with the artwork, you have your liner notes, your text, your lyric sheets. You could send exactly, okay, I have proofread all of these files, send them to the artist. Somehow, some way, computers will mess up your text. It'll just change a word, it'll just take out a word. Maybe it's user error, maybe it's your artist that's putting together something. If you're doing it yourself, maybe you're transferring from your computer from your file to the template online. Somehow, some way, and I don't know how this keeps happening, but it does. Typos come up. That's why when you get a finished product and there's a typo in it, and you're just like, how could they let this happen? Well, to be honest, it wasn't there before. It was, when I approved it, it was not there. There's been so many times where I approved something, it was right. I'm like, I'm looking at what I approved that's not the same as what's here printed. I'm getting all worked up. These things happen. So you have to double, triple, quadruple check your work, and be sure, don't do it yourself. Don't just do it yourself. Do it yourself, but send it to somebody you trust, have them proofread it, give you what they found back, and you'll be like, I swear it was all done. But nope, you're always going to find something. So that's probably one of the biggest things. Now, once you get the artwork all done, you've got your music in, and they're just making the stuff, the vinyl company is going to make mistakes as well. They're going to put the wrong sticker on your record. That's happened to us. They're going to that's happened to bootleggers that bootlegged our records. Panic. It's going to happen, and it wasn't probably their fault. They probably approved something that was correct, although they probably wouldn't even know what an MXPX record looked like because they were bootleggers. So you got to use your head, and you got to double, triple, quadruple check. So once you get it all done, they're going to make mistakes too. So you might get a shipment of like the wrong records. You might get a shipment of like all the wrong covers, but the right vinyl. Like, oh my, just don't be surprised. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, luck is on your side. Do well. So from there, we're getting shipments in, and we're like trying to figure out, okay, where are we going to put this stuff? So you got to store the stuff. You got to make sure that it is a good temperature. Luckily, Washington State is mild temperatures. It never freezes or gets too hot. And so we don't have to worry too much about the weather, as long as it's totally safe from water, moisture, anything like that, wind. Yes, so we have we actually spend a lot of money in storage just to store all of our product, because we don't want to ruin it. So that's very, very important, is have proper storage for your product and proper shipping components. So the first time we did shipping, like on the box set and on other vinyl, on other albums, the first few times we did it on our own, we realized we're not packing these things good enough. And so we got better packaging, better vinyl packaging. And so now we get way less complaints. We get way less bent records, way less things being messed up when it gets there. And that's a big factor too. So when you're DIY, when you're independent like we are, you're not only putting in the orders, you're making the orders, you're getting the product, you're shipping the product out. And every step of the way, there's things that could screw you and ruin all of the hard work that you've been spending all your time on. So yeah, it's not easy, but on the other hand, doing it yourself, not paying a record label, you're getting over half of the profit again, you know? So like what you did profit is going to double, if not more than double, if you're doing it independently and you're doing a good job and you're taking full advantage of the modern day systems that we have. You know, we use UPS, we use USPS, and between those two, and sometimes FedEx, but between those two, we can pretty much ship anything anywhere. But now and again, there's problems. Like earlier or later in 2024, late last year, USPS stopped shipping packages to Canada. Like what? Like we can't ship packages to Canada now? So now, you know, now everything has to be private. Everything has to go through UPS or FedEx or DSL or whatever those, DHL. And it's just, you know, it's just part of having a business, a small business, and not so small anymore. It's constantly growing, but we still work it like a small business. We're very much DIY. We're very much just trying to like get through each week, each day. And we've got a small team that helps us with that. And much love to you guys, MXPX crew. What up? Yeah, I just appreciate you all for even paying any attention and listening to the podcast, and knowing that we even send vinyl out ourselves is pretty amazing. Because I didn't know that much about bands when I was a kid, you know. Back when I was listening to All for the first time, listening to Percolator was the album. And I was just like, what the heck is this stuff? I thought they were millionaire rock stars. And little did I know, they were really cool dudes in a punk band that I became friends with. And they're doing very well now. I mean, that was then and this is now. They're absolute legends now. The Descendants, that will live on in infamy long after they're gone. So honestly, kudos to them, and that's all I've ever really thought about MXPX that I want. You know, what is it that I want in the future? I just want to be a band that people have good feelings and good vibes from. And if you're a fan of MXPX, if you get a good vibe from listening to our albums, that's all I care about. That's my goal with MXPX, you know, to pump people up, to make people feel better about their lives. When you're second guessing your own decisions, the decisions you already made, and it's too late, it can be rough. And you know what? Sometimes it's not as big of a deal as we all make it out to be. Not today, right? So take it easy on yourself, take it easy on others, and I think the world's going to be a much better place. And that's what MXPX is always trying to communicate to you, and we're always trying to encourage ourselves in the same ways. So thank you. Thanks for listening. All right, let's get to a couple more. Thanks for that call. Appreciate it, Lee.
Hey, Mike. My name's Nate from Massachusetts, northern central Mass. Everybody from Mass usually says they're from Boston, but I work in Boston, but not from Boston. I did see you play in Boston with Goldfinger a couple years back. It was phenomenal. I literally went. I love Goldfinger, but I went. You were playing, and you made it more exciting because I followed them since high school in my 40s, and followed since I was on the high school bus going to my soccer game with my best friend Josh. He let me listen to Teenage Politics, and I love you guys ever since. In fact, him and I actually went to a show in 2005 when he forced me to move down to Florida I only lived there for about a month, but we went to see you in St. Pete with, I believe it was Rufio and Reliant K. It was a phenomenal show. Absolutely loved it. I would love to see you again. I want to see you guys back in Boston. I was wondering to know if you're going to play in Worcester at like the Palladium, where NoFX just played a couple years back with Pennywise on their tour. I've gone to that. So really looking to see you again. You and the whole band meet alive. Watch every single one of your live streams you've been doing ever since day one. I also have a question. I love CDs. I've been trying to capture. I want every CD that you guys have so I can have my collection at home. But I can't seem to find on your website the one for the Life in Quarantine. I'm playing the guitar. That's my resolution for this year, is to get better at acoustic. But I want to play the whole acoustic album, and I really want that album on CD. And I was wondering if you're going to put it back up, or if you have one lying around somewhere. I'd love to have the Life in Quarantine album on CD, because I can't find it anywhere. So if you could definitely just let me know about that, would be great. But yeah, I just love you guys. Listen to you every day, and really want to hear more and more of your music and see you live. So love you guys. Everybody, go to the website, get some merch. I just got that new Thrasher Flames MXPX hoodie. It's phenomenal. So grab your stuff today. Thanks, Mike. Bye.
Dude, thanks, Nate. Love it. Boston's so much fun. Massachusetts, you guys are strong people up there. You guys know what's up. Yeah, I think we will come and play Boston. Why not? We did New York last time. We should probably hit Boston at some point. I'm sure we will. Just give it some time. But if not, if you have the chance to see us somewhere else and we're there, please come on out. Always worth it. Always a good time. Every show we put out or put on, we just give it everything we got. That's where we're at right now. You never know when we'll kick the bucket, but hopefully not anytime soon. Knock on wood. We're rocking and rolling, but Boston always reminds me of the Half Shell. We played this show. It was a radio show, but it was us headlining. It was our show, but it was sponsored by the radio station that happened to be playing us a lot back in those days. And we were on tour, and we were late to get to the show, but there was 10,000 people there to see us that night. We felt like the Beatles. I felt as much like Paul McCartney as ever. And the problem with the show, it was great, but the show itself, like, we didn't have any time to set up, so we just had to get there, set up as fast as we could. It was kind of a disaster, but good times in Boston. Now, Life in Quarantine, I'm pretty sure that is sold out. I'd have to go and look, but if it's not on the website, that tells me it's probably sold out. Now, at some point, maybe we'll get some more made. I don't know. But I can't help you right now with that because, I don't know, it's just one thing of so many that we have. I don't really know if we actually truly are out of it or if we've got a stash somewhere. I'll have to do a little digging, a little reconnaissance for you, my friend. But I love that you love that record and it means something to you. The live streams have and still are so much fun. We're on a little hiatus right now from live streams. Tom's out of town. I'm going to be going out of town a little bit here and there, but we're working on it. So I'll have to have to see what's up with Life in Quarantine. We had vinyl that's definitely sold out, and we're not going to press any more of that vinyl. But I think CDs maybe could get got somewhere. Find a Way Home, our new album, our latest album. It's not really new anymore, but it really is the newest thing we have out. That we have a few different vinyl variations, and then we do have CDs of that. Really cool packaging. I love the artwork for Find a Way Home. It's one of my favorites. But Life in Quarantine is kind of a release that I think people can grab onto in a different way than any other normal release, because this reminds people of what they went through during the pandemic, COVID, all of that, 2020, 2021, into 2022, maybe a little bit. But those 3 years were really weird and really different, and Life in Quarantine kind of encapsulates it a little bit. And yeah, if anybody has a line on CDs, please let Nate know. Let us know. If you guys got comments, questions, and you don't want to call in, you can always go to the Mike Herrera Podcast Facebook group on Facebook. Join the Facebook group. That's where I post on Facebook for the episodes, and each week or whatever. But also that's where people can submit for Music Monday. If you submit a little blurb about your band, where you're from, what the song's called, what the band's called, and of course a YouTube link of the song would be great. That would submit to Music Monday. That place, leave me a question there. Leave me any commentary on whether or not you got a Life in Quarantine CD you can give up. But let's try to find one for Nate. All right, let's do one more voicemail and we'll let you guys get out of here.
Hello, Mike. This is Carrie Thompson from Austin, Texas, / Las Vegas, and I just saw you in Houston and Dallas last week, and I had brought my family, my husband, my 2 kids, and my mom to your show in Houston, and then we dropped the kids and my mom off in Austin the next day and saw you in Dallas. It was an excellent show. And it was a really special time. We waited and got to see and meet you afterwards. And I had my mom. She recently underwent a very serious surgery to remove a tumor from her jaw. And you were just so sweet talking to her, but she had the absolute best time. I'm actually sitting with her right now in Cancun, Mexico, and I'm going to make her say hello to you. She kind of doesn't want to, but Mom.
Hello. I wanted to say that it was my first punk concert, and I really actually enjoyed the music and the whole thing very much. I really enjoyed that you asked if the young people had been into the mosh pit yet, and that you said that it was about making memories as one of your songs, and that everybody should take care of them. And I really enjoyed that part of the show. Actually, I enjoyed the entire show, so just want to let you know.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a really, really special time for us. My mom used to drop me off at the Hunter's Theater in Vegas to go see shows, and she would sit across the street and try to watch, make sure I stayed safe and didn't get into trouble. And so it was a real kind of full circle moment, bringing her to not just her first MXPX show, but her first punk show. And also just kind of at the end of this cancer journey, we were told it was inoperable. We were told she didn't have a lot of options. She failed several rounds of chemo, went into, liver failure twice, had just a really awful time over the last 2 years. Find a Way Home has been such a very powerful background, just inspirational track to our lives during this really, really difficult and challenging time. And we've come out on the other side of it. We're in our sunrise moment here on after we've climbed our mountains, and it's just, amazing. I called the podcast, I don't know, probably about a year ago after the LA show, to thank you for that. And she, was in the middle of it, and you wished her well, and it's gone. They got all of it. So, thanks for an amazing time last weekend. We love you to pieces. Bye.
Amazing. Amazing to hear. Such good news. Shout out to Mom. Shout out to you, Carrie, and the whole family. Obviously, I've known you for years. You've been coming to shows for years, and you're the best. Our fans are the best, you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It means everything to hear your mom just say that she enjoyed the show, and it was her first punk show, and she took an actual memory from it, which was me talking about, hey, if any kids haven't been in the pit, get in there. Let's make some memories. You won't regret it. Take care of each other out there. If somebody's falling down, pick them up. Yeah, I mean, I know for myself, you know, it's you can go through life and just not pay attention to anything and just get things done and whatever. But like, if you take time to smell the roses, to really take it all in, life is so much sweeter, so much better. And it sounds like you guys really understand that and are grateful for that. And that's everything. And it makes my day, to be honest. My whole week made. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, family. We'll see you next time. We'll see you either in Texas, Vegas, California, wherever you end up. But always a pleasure. Always means a lot to me. So thank you. All right, you guys. That's it for today. Wow. What a great set of voicemails. I appreciate you all. If you guys want to call in yourself, you have a question, you have a story to tell, you just want to talk about the last time you saw MXPX, please do. The number is area code 360-830-6660. Leave me a voicemail. Would love to play it on the podcast and talk about it. All right. MXPX.com. We have hoodies. We got t-shirts. We have vinyl, of course. And it is a very nice place waiting for you. We're ready to send those packages out. And until next time, I'm gonna put together some song ideas soon, I think. Of course, it takes a while to build and to make everything actually listenable. So I'm gonna start that process too. All right. I can't wait to hear what you guys want to know next. All right. Shout out to Bob McKnight. Thank you for producing. Bob McKnight is a saint, and everyone should know it. All right. Shout out to Bob McKnight. And like I said, MXPX.com if you want to help out what we do with this podcast. Other than that, I'm going to continue to not run ads on the podcast. I'm not going to, you know, like I said, the only advertising I do is for MXPX.com, and that's what we talk about. But aside from that, it's always free, and it's for you. Thanks. Peace.